I am so excited about this Rave Story TV episode. Not only did I get him out for my 35 years of Daniel Bunter event to rap and perform his classic, A Homeboy, Hippie and A Funki Dredd, Total Confusion, somehow I've ground him down to come on the podcast and talk about his incredible, I'm going to say unsung influence on rave, breakbeat, house, hardcore and jungle music. Mr. Marc Williams, Project One, Homeboy, Hippie and A Funki Dredd, absolute pioneer. Welcome to the hot seat, mate.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here. And thanks for dusting off the cobwebs and, bringing this mummy back to life.
You said that. So when you performed at my 35 years event, you said that. You said, Dan's dusted me off and got the cobwebs off. Mate, I find Project One, those tunes that you made, A Homeboy, Hippie and A Funki Dredd, Total Confusion, they are such pioneering, groundbreaking tunes of 1990, and they led the charge ultimately for bass-driven, what was to become jungle, breakbeat, hardcore, jungle, techno music. I want to know, first and foremost, how did you discover the rave scene?
Well, I was just a raver, just like everyone else. I'd go out and party. I was always making music from a young age. And we used to make hip-hop, R&B. And I was the first guy out of everyone. I grew up in Hornsey, Archway area. And that's where my stomping ground was when I was slightly older. And I just found mixing house music, because we would always be on the decks scratching, mixing and stuff. And I just thought mixing house music just worked for me. So while everyone else was scratching and trying to put cuts together, I started mixing. And we had a sound system. My cousins had a sound system in Archway called Lifeline. And we used to do all the parties in Hornsey, Archway, Tufnell Park, all around that kind of area. We'd run all the parties. Every Saturday night you'd be out with your sound system, put it up somewhere, and the party would kick off. And at the age of 16, I became their main DJ. I went out and bought a copy of M. Chume Sugar Free.
Oh, what a
Sugar Free, yeah.
Sugar Free,
that's the one. Bought that record from Bluebird Records in West London, ran to my cousins and said, I've got something. He went upstairs, put the record on, and that's when he said, that's a really good pick. So I started picking records, and then I could mix on his decks. He had these decks, and I could mix on them, and no one else could. So I then became the main DJ for his sound system. And my name started traveling around with that. And then the house music, for some reason, I got into it, I started mixing it. And then, you found a few things that make you happy and hit the clubs.
Yeah.
And that was it.
A few things that make you happy.
Yes, exactly.
Can you remember the house records that it made you think, oh, I like this stuff?
My favourite artist was a guy called Gerald.
Right.
Octagon, Voodoo Ray.
Yeah.
Of course, before that, predating that was Washing Machine.
Oh, come on.
I think it was called Mr. Fingers. Yeah, wow, Mr. Fingers. Yeah. That was one of the first house records we ever bought. That and Jack Your Body.
Yeah.
From there, we were in.
So tell me, like, on the sound system, was it soul, funk, reggae?
Yes. Soul, funk, reggae. So we played Carnival a few years.
Yeah.
And it would always be soul, funk, reggae. I'd kind of be doing that and the hip hop. But rare grooves was my favourite thing.
Yeah.
I'd go out and find rare grooves. That from secondary school, I was always into rare grooves. So, Mademoiselle and all those kind of tracks.
And when you started playing house on the sound system, what year would you say? 87, 88?
87, 88, yeah.
What was the reaction when you was out playing around North London and on reggae and soul and funk and hip-hop sounds?
The strangest thing was, at first, what I used to do really well before playing house, I would mix genres. So I would take I would take Simply Red's Holding Back the Years and then mix it with a reggae tune. And, you know, that was the kind of thing at the time, how you're going to blend genres and make things really kind of cool that people could jam to. And I did that a lot. And so moving into something like house, when I was the most amazing things, I'd be mixing this stuff and people would stare because they'd be wanting to see me look at BPMs. Where are you getting the BPMs from? How do you know the timing? It's like, I'm just hearing it. Now I'm 16 and they're like wondering how come he's hearing it. And I would just crack on doing that. So when it came to mixing the house, it became really easy. And I think, you know, people were ready for it. People were ready for, you could do a party and add a bit of house, but then you couldn't stay there. You had to get back to R&B and hip hop somehow. But yeah, that's how I got in. But then, you know, fast forward a couple of years, it got more serious, and the house took over, and the R&B and hip hop kind of never disappeared, but it actually became the influence that you'd use into house, though.
Yeah.
So you'd bring that hip hop vibe and that R&B or the rare grooves. We took that into house, hence Mademoiselle and stuff like that. Like jumping.
Can you remember your first big sort of raves you went to before you started making all the music?
I mean, the club that I loved the most, that I really wanted to impress, I wanted this place to. I would go there with my boys and say, I'm going to do a tune for this club. It was Dungeons at Lea Bridge Road.
Wow.
That was my favourite place.
So that was a huge inspiration for them. First wave of tunes you made.
Yes, I said I want to make songs that bang in this club. I remember Rebel MC used to go there, and a few guys, they'd always be rapping and stuff. And I was like, I need to go. I need this place to be jumping to my tunes. So when we did 4 for Money remix, A Moment in Time, and that bass line.
Do-do-do.
Yeah, and I was pitch bending the bass line. And we're standing in the queue, and it had just been released, and we're standing in the queue, and the car drives past us in the queue, and someone's thumping the tune, and you could hear, you know, the Doppler effect as it detunes as it's going down the street. And then the guys in front of us says to his mate, "You hear that tune, mate? That bass line's the truth." He said, "It's the truth." And I looked to my mate, and we'd already taken some whatevers, and that was it. I went up, and I didn't come down the whole night. From that moment, that was me. I was in the game. Yeah. That was the moment I knew that I had something that I could give to the. And that night, the song got played 20 times in every room, and every time we got a rewind, the foghorns from beginning to end. And that's when I just knew I was in. I was never coming out of it.
Because it's like in '89, there was like Renegade Soundwave, the Phantom. Like they were precursors for like 1990.
100%.
And like I always say and always go back to the Phantom and say like, this is the original drum and bass tune.
I get goosebumps.
Yeah, there you go. That is if you want to trace back, of course that comes out of dub and that from years previous, but if you want to really trace prototype drum and bass, of course it's not drum and bass as in 175 BPM, but that clean percussion.
That breakbeaty feel on a house tempo.
On a bass, with that bass. And then when you come along, what come first, Project One or A Homeboy Hippie?
Project One. Well, it originally, Homeboy Hippie, we got signed as Homeboy Hippie, but then they asked us to do a remix first. Right. So we did a remix for 4 for Money. And the first remix we did was a piano remix, and we only had like 2 hours left in the night. And I said, let me just try something. So I got the breakbeat out, shuffle that, done the bass line, and Casper Pound put in the rock, we roll, we jam and we mix, you know, we rock, we roll. And then I did the bleeps.
Yeah, I love the bleeps.
Yeah, and then I think that was the first record to shuffle a breakbeat, like, like, you know, I don't think anyone had done that before. I felt like I was doing something that I'd never seen before when I did it. And yeah, I that for me, like you say, Renegade Soundwave, a huge influence. I think the reason why I got goosebumps is I never really placed that properly in my brain. And we rinsed that.
Yeah.
We rinsed that tune, and it really did give a huge breakbeat feel. I was in the gym about 2 months ago listening to that on my headphones, and it is...
Oh, serious.
Renegade Time is an absolute tear, mate. You can play it now.
I still play it out in my 88, 89 sets, and I'm sure it got at my 35, where you performed on the main stage in the house room. It must have been played 2 or 3 times by various DJs.
What a track. And yeah, that you're right, that kind of breakbeat feel hadn't really been in-house. It was and these guys came and just ripped up the form book and said, no, we're gonna change it. And I think that is definitely a subliminal influence to say, go and do your thing. And I knew I had to put my essence into it, my history, what we loved, you know what I mean? So the black experience had to be felt at somehow, because we were relevant at the time, do you know what I mean?
When I think back, because like I guess really the word, I'm a real student of that era. Like I lived and breathed it then, and I live and breathe it now. And my whole being is to keep that thing alive and the importance of that era. And there was something about that. Like the way you say you did it in 2 hours with the Schoolie D sample, the dub bass, the shuffle, the
2 hours.
It's kind of like the dub really come out in that.
That's
even
right.
Within the bleeps, within the bass.
Yeah, it was just skanking. It was just skanking. The whole thing is just like, let's make something that's just raw. It was we had no time. I think maybe if we had longer, it would have come out worse.
Yeah.
I think it was just a moment like, just get it out. Do you know what I mean? So I just regurgitated over it and
love that. How did you meet Casper Pound?
Well, as I said before, I was known in the area. I'd built a reputation from the age of 15 to, say, 18, 19 as just a music guy in the area. So they called me like Music Mark, and everyone in Hornsey knew me for that. I used to work with a guy named Chris McFarlane, who's Potential Bad Boy.
So
we grew up together. We were like, when I was 16, I was DJing with him. That's the guy who was doing the hip hop. When I was saying we were doing scratch mix, and it was Chris McFarlane.
The mad thing is, not to stop you, but whenever anyone comes up and mentions Potential, I believe Potential is an absolute unsung jungle.
He's a legend.
Hero who's like a legend, pioneer from that first tune, Protocol, absolute Don. And
I don't know if you'd ever admit it, but I got him into it.
Right.
Because he was a hip hop guy, and I was the one that made the move into house.
Right.
And then they came around, and then I kind of brought the breakbeat.
Is he slightly younger than you? Or
slightly, around the same age. But his mum was amazing. She had her house. She would just let us go in and do what we want. It was like one of those houses where the kids could just be as creative as you feel. And we'd just go in there and spend 3 days. I wouldn't go home. I'd just sit in his house, and he had the decks, and we had a little drum machine and a little Casio keyboard, and we'd try and put songs together, hip-hop songs, R&B songs and stuff like that. And then I moved into the house thing, and he came along, and then he just became this legendary jungle guy.
Yeah, pioneer.
I was really proud of him, But meeting Casper Pound, so like I say, I had this reputation. I met this guy named Tony Winter, who ended up becoming the Funky Dredd, and he was living in a shared house in Crouch End, and we met on the high street. But for some reason, this guy he met me. We stared at each other like we we're gonna have a fight.
Right.
One of those meetings, and then we said, "What?" And he's like, we got to know each other. He's like, "You're a really cool guy." And then he found out I was sleeping on my cousin's floor. My cousin Michael, who's basically my mentor as a kid, and he said, like, come stay at the house with us. So they let me stay in this house. It's a wicked house, like a shared house, like loads of people, 8 rooms or something like that. And we used to just sit up there, same thing, take some trips, sit on the keyboard, decks, trips, keyboard, decks. That's it all day long. That's what we do. And Tony was just an absolute, just loved music, and he came up with always kind of like infusing me with different ideas, like, oh, listen to these, listen to the like, Woodstock and stuff like that. We'd listen to like hippie kind of guitar stuff. And then one day, for some reason, I'm lying on the floor, like never even had a mattress. It's just a duvet on the floor. And at the door, this tall white guy comes in with curly hair, sticks his head through the door and says, "Are you Mark?" And yeah, he goes, "I hear you do music." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you want to do a studio session?" I'm like, "Of course." I'd never been to a studio. I'd only worked in bedrooms. And he says, "Well, I've got a studio session up in Shepherd's Bush. If you want to come and do it, let's do it." So someone had told him, he asked around the area and they said, "If you want to do music, you got to go see Mark. That's the guy." So that night we went to the studio and we made Total Confusion.
Wow.
First time I'd ever seen him. We went to the studio. It was the next night, actually. Then went to the studio the next night. It was Ian Levine's studio in Shepherd's Bush. He was like the high energy, one of the kings of high energy kind of disco music. And he'd obviously his studio had its day. But I walked into this room and there's a Fairlight sampling system, SSL desk with flying faders. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was standing in. And then the funny thing is though, all that equipment, and I had to edit it with tape. We edited on one each tape. So Total Confusion is literally edited with a razor blade tape. And so when you try to mix the heavenly version, I don't know if you've noticed, after one of the it jumps out of time.
Because you've done it on tape.
I spliced it wrong. I spliced it too much. I'd never done it before. And I'd taken off too much tape. So it's not quite tight. So try mixing it. It will jump out every single time. Not many people know that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I met Casper. The guy literally knocked on my door. I had gone nowhere. I was lying on the bed and someone came to me.
So the Moment in Time remix comes before.
So Total Confusion has been ready to release. And they said, "Would you do this remix beforehand?"
Right.
So then we did the Moment in Time remix. And then I thought, well, I could just feel I'd created something different.
Yeah.
So I wanted to harness that. This is why I said, okay, I'm going to make that Project One. Yeah. And then from now on, I'm going to make that dub music.
Yeah, more dub inspired.
Yeah, I'm going to go there.
Talk me through the creative process of Total Confusion, because there's so in 89, we 88, 89, we have Fast Eddie, Tyree Cooper.
Yep.
Silver Bullet kind of lands like in amongst all this. That sort of like all of a sudden we get in a more rough, rugged thing. And I don't know whether, I might be wrong here, but I don't think 20 Seconds to Comply and Bring Forth the Guillotine were intentionally meant to be played in raves, but they were at the time.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Whereas Total Confusion comes along, is it techno? Is it hardcore? Is it hip house? Is it like
it's just a weird
Silver
blend,
Bullet breakbeat hip hop, but with a 4/4? Yeah. It's so creative with like the sample, the bass alone. Who would have thought? Talk me through the creative process of the instrumental and the samples, and then the rap.
So
how you wrote the rap.
The samples, I have to give all credit to Casper Pound. We turned up to the record, to the studio, and he just dumped. He had this. It was just like a messy pile of records. He just dumped them all on the side, and we just started shuffling through them. We found the Texican first. That was the bass line.
Yeah.
That was really simple, and then we took the woo from Monkey Say Monkey Do.
Yeah.
Which originally was
West Bam.
West Bam, exactly. Who I ended up doing another track with.
Wow.
No one really knows about that. But,
wow.
So we took the woos from West Bam. And then he said, basically we took the stab from original concept.
Right.
Where the Total Confusion comes from. Total Confusion, they're both in the same sample. So we took just the guitar sample and then we spanned it across the keyboard.
Right.
And he said, go at it.
Yeah.
So then in my head, the last hardest thing I'd heard, because you said make it hard.
Yeah.
So the last hardest thing I heard was Cubic.
Right.
808.
Yeah. They were roughly the same time. Yes, Mark.
Yeah, that's what was running through my head.
Yes, you've just ignited me there.
So that's what was going through my head. And I, to be honest, the day before I'd actually been tripping, if I'm real. So I'm looking at these keys, and the keys are smaller than the spaces between the keys. Like everything's kind of just doing this as I'm bang. They felt like sponge, I'm smacking them, but I'm going as hard as I can. And so we got that. Then he put the radio stations on top of that. So it's running now. We're putting the arrangement together. I put the pads on to make it like heavenly, because I was really good at that. That was my thing when I was younger. Making kind of emotional chords was my favourite thing to do. So I put those pads on and it felt like it was going in. And then we put the woos in and the engineer actually span it out with the delay. So woo, 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 woo. So the engineer that did it, he had this Fairlight system. It was beautiful. So we've got this track. It's running really nicely now. We put in Roy Ayers, Hey Who, where the Renegades of Funk from Africa Bombata. All that stuff's running. And then he's like, we need to put some vocals on here. Let's go and find a rapper. So I'm like, okay, we'll go and find a rapper. I know some. But I had ghost written a rap for someone else. I had a rap that I'd written because I was doing a hip hop thing for someone in Hornsey actually. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll put it on there as a placeholder. I'll just put it on there, we'll hold it for a thing, and then we'll go and find someone else and they can do it properly. Yeah. So I said, yeah, cool. And then we did it. And then he just laughed and said, it's not coming off. No, it has to come off. I'm not doing it. And he said, no, it's going to stay on. So we argued about it for a while.
How long did it take you to write that rap?
Well, I didn't write it that night. It was already written.
It was ghost written for right.
It was something I had written 3 months before. So it was already there in my head that I'd written for someone else, so I had to go and explain to the guy that I wrote it for that he can't have it anymore because I'd taken it back. So we put the rap on, the chorus, and then of course towards the end he's like, okay, it's got to get harder and harder and harder. So I'm spazzing out, and by the end of it, I'm like trying to make it as hard. And it's just going on and on. I'm just like, it's getting quite intense for me because it was like really building. And so, but by the time you get to the end, I don't know what we've created. It just feels weird to me.
Because when I think of the sheer amount of samples in it,
it's crazy.
It's like it's almost like Hank Shockley-esque.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like what they would do with Public Enemy. I mean, the sheer amount of layers to it. And we didn't clear
one sample. Every sample. I mean, we took a whole phrase of Chuck D.
Yeah.
And no one said a word, and it was because it was the Wild West, wasn't it?
Then
no one was claiming. So we just went free. We just put everything down, smashed it out as hard as possible, and walked away. We did 2 tracks that night. Actually, that wasn't the only track. We did another track called Monkey Flip.
Right.
And we sampled. It was I think it was a track that was on Network.
Right.
I forgot who it was, but we sampled we just went mad. It was fun. It was a good night. Right. And then I went home and I went to Tony's room. Tony was in bed with his girl and knocked on the door. And I've come in and he's, what's that? How did it go? And this is like, 9 a.m. now. We've done a night shift. So I goes, I don't know. And put the headphones on and he was lying down and he just shot up. I was, what the fuck is this? So I'm like, boy, is he good? He's like, this is mind-blowing. So should I just keep going?
Yeah, right, mate. Come on, I'm mesmerised by the story.
Right, yeah, so the next day, Casper comes around, back to the house, like, got a good song here, haven't we? And the general consensus is, we got something pretty good. So he goes, right, watch this. What are we going to do now? He just picks up the phone. We get the yellow pages out. Picks up the landline because we've got no mobile phones, and he calls Virgin Records, EMI. He calls me and says, "Yeah, hi, I'm calling from Rising High Records, and I have an artist that I'd love to present to you. I'd love to set up a meeting." And he goes, "Yeah, cool, come in and see me."
Rising Highs even happened.
Yeah, so he's had this concept. Oh no, he had the whole thing about Ascendant, which is why he had his other label called Ascension.
Later down the line, the
because everything was always supposed to be about rising.
What?
That was his thing.
Hang on. So in 1990, did you catch that, people? Rising High Records.
Yeah. So he had that.
Not even invented yet, and he's using that as his youthful energy to say, wow, from this label.
So I learned from him because I would have never have walked into a record label. I wouldn't have known how to do it. Same age. Same day. We're both born on the same day. I think he might have been born a day before me.
Right.
But same year as well. So we just met each other and we were a day apart.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
So he goes, watch this. And I'm like, I'm watching this white guy just come in and turn my whole world apart, because I'm like, I would have never thought of calling a record label and having the balls to say, I'm with a record company and I'm coming down to play these tunes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've got to stick with this white guy. He's amazing. He showed me some shit. He showed me some shit, this guy. So he sets up the first set of meetings. We go out, and both of us, this 6 foot, 3, 4 white guy, and me 5'7" or whatever black guy. And we go in and we play this record, the Total Confusion, and they're listening to it, nodding their head and saying, "Nah, it's not working for us." Okay, cool, not working for us. And I thought, okay, obviously the song is not as good as we thought. So we go out that night. That night, me, Casper, and Tony, the guy who'd been so kind and been such an inspiration to me musically. We all went out. We went out to what was it now? It's Confusion on Piccadilly,
right?
Shaftesbury Avenue. Kid Bachelor, I think it was.
Oh, right, yeah, wicked, yeah.
We went out to that night, and I had a fairly nice night anyway. On the way back on the night bus, it was such a good night. We had such a laugh together. The music was cool, but we had such a good laugh. We jumped on the bus, and on the way back, I just said to him, we got some more meetings tomorrow. Why don't you come with us? Because there's a gel. I just felt something, a good gel. And he came out with us the next day, and of course we walk into these the record label, and Tony, I'm sitting there with my little flat top with the side cut out. Casper's there with his shaggy hair, and then Tony's got the new style, which is the Funky Dredd, was the new style back then. Soul to Soul was in vogue. Everything was about short sides and a little bit of kind of funk dreads at the top. And he had the perfect set of Funky Dreads. So we got 3 offers that day.
Right.
Straight away. So I learned that day that people don't just listen to music with their ears. They listen to music with their eyes. Do you know what I mean? They want to see what they're hearing. The image has to fit that feel. And adding Tony to it just took it over the top. And we didn't have a name. We didn't have a name until that day we got the offers, and we didn't get a name until we went to cut the record.
Right.
In a taxi on the way to cut the record.
What made you choose Tam-Tam as the label?
They were cool.
Right.
Yeah, Sheila was just brilliant. Sheila was an American girl who worked there. And she was just, her passion for the song was, you could feel it. And she was like, no, I've got to have this. So we just thought, we've got to go with the person who's most passionate about it.
It seems like such a natural progression that Tam-Tam should have Silver Bullet, and then along comes Total Confusion.
Yeah.
That's some A&R ears that they've got.
Yeah, I think Sheila, like I say, she was really tapped in at the time. Because she was American, maybe she tapped into the rap energy that was coming. But yeah, she was just clued up. And the first person she sent my record, well, For Money, she ended up sending the remix to Ron Tom. And I was driving over at Alexandra Palace, just as you get over the hill and you're looking across London, and in comes Ron Tom going, got this one from Tam-Tam, thanks Sheila, that gruff voice of his.
Right.
And then he put on my tune, and we just pulled the car up, jumped out, and just started Ali Pally just jumping up and down. And yeah, that's the first time I ever heard my song played on the radio. And yeah, just great times, man.
Yeah, it's such a groundbreaking, it really is a groundbreaking moment in time. Like, there's literally like no rules at that point. It's literally like you can literally micro focus down to just these like pivotal moments of Renegade Soundwave, Silver Bullet, Shut Up and Dance, Reinforced, what you guys were doing. And in this short space of time, this energy, and like hearing you describe your energy of being in the studio, not having an artist name, never have meeting Casper
there was
Bowden,
no management, no teams. There was no in-airs. It was the Wild West. And it was a 2-3 years of kind of like a axis of transition where you had technology.
Yeah.
You had culture where, of course, the technology was changing. Sampling was getting stronger. You had the drugs that were basically softening the harsh treatment that we were all giving, like, hooligans and racism was squashed with ease. The terraces died down. Guys that used to chase me up and down the streets of Caledonian Road calling me jam jar and spare chucker or whatever.
Yeah.
Were like, all right, mate, how you doing? That long hair and giving me hugs. And, you know, a few years before that, they were my enemy. And that was an amazing moment as well. So you had this technology, you had this culture, and you had us we were the whole rave scene of this kind of lawless energy where we could put 20,000 people in a field before they came out with the freedom to party, whatever. That's just an amazing time. So we were like we were saying goodbye to the old guard. And I think I've never seen a cross-section of time. I don't think maybe since the beginning of the 70s where technology had kicked in after the 60s, where you'd seen that kind of shift. I think the beginning of the 70s would have been the only other time, really.
Yeah, because with like Parliament, Funkadelic, Sly and the Family Stone, in that period, there was such a huge shift. And the same with that turning of 89, 90.
Exactly.
In like real British youth culture, combining the ecstasy, the different cultures, and your track Total Confusion with the sheer amount of samples shows you like what's to become. Who come up with the name A Homeboy?
Me.
Hippie, right.
So we're sitting in a taxi. We're on our way to cut the record in West London. And we're coming up with 100 different names. We're just, as me, Tony, Casper, and Sheila in the taxi. And we're just going, I don't know, 2 men and a dog, da-da-da. You know, there was always these kind of two Jamaicans.
There was a lot of those kind of names,
Jamaicans and a blah, blah. Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? And we're trying them all. And then I just looked around and I just said it for A Homeboy, Hippie A Funki Dredd. And the taxi just went silent. I was like, yeah, that kind of works.
Yeah, that's it.
It was like, it's just one of those ones. And I've from the day that I said it, I kind of hated it because it was such a long name to say. So, you know, you say kind of, most names of groups are not 11 syllables. 11 syllables for a title of a band. There's a lot, you know, Parliament, Funkadelic. It's not that long. So I had to live with that for a while, which is why I call it double HFD.
Right.
Which is much easier to say, yeah.
Yeah, and when did you realise that particular track was getting so big, Total Confusion?
I mean, from the when it kicked off, at first a lot of people kind of repelled it. It was at the kind of radio and stuff. They were like, "This is a bit too hard. It's like weird. Where do we put this?" But it was the clubs that accepted it heavily, and then they had to play it. Kiss FM thought they would never play it. That's what they reported back, like we won't play this. And then after a while, they had to because the clubs just said, "This is."
It was huge.
This was tearing, yeah.
I remember it was like working in a record shop, playing it at Labyrinth. It was like, it was part of a changing of the guard where we'd been quite housey. There was so much house, but then all of a sudden, like European rave records come through, like you said, Cubic up there, and. Yeah, now I understand your reference to Manchester in the track.
There you go.
Now, wow, the pennies just dropped in my head.
The last cut is called L1MO, London 1, Manchester 0.
Right.
The limo cut, we called it. And I say it underneath, London 1, Manchester 0.
Wow, the reference it's now fallen in, but it was so hard.
Yeah.
It was so hard. Dance Energy.
Yeah.
What was that like going on there and performing?
I hate performing. It took me a long time to accept being a microphone guy because I always saw myself as a producer. That's why me and Casper split up.
Right.
Because we did Total Confusion and it kicked off, but everyone kept calling me the rapper. And I was young and had an ego. And Casper was known as the enigmatic studio genius. And I was known as the rapper from Homeboy Hippie.
Group, yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm actually sitting down and putting all this music down. I'm producing the track 50-50, if not 60-40. And but I'm being called a rapper, and he's known as the enigmatic genius. And that just, it ripped me up. And I was just like, either we do this properly or we split.
Yeah.
And we just split. And he went and done Rising High. And then I ended up joining him again and putting a load of music out with him again. And, you know, fair play, just...
It's an interesting story, isn't it, though? Because, like, DJ Hype on his podcast, like, at the same time as you had Total Confusion, he had The Scientist. He had tracks like The Bee.
Wow, The Bee was...
Yeah, and The Exorcist, which was all exactly the same time. And Hype himself didn't have his name as an artist. He was there as a producer. But I think that youthful side of you guys not knowing the industry in the way in which you grew to know it, and of course being so young, it's understandable that you'd be like, oh, I've produced it as much as him, and vice versa.
Yeah, and you know, you have to understand, Casper's always had a plan. Like I said, he came in and said Rising High from the first day that I met him, and him actually coming to find me as well. He was always had a plan of what he was going to do. And I was being swept along in this plan, but I just felt like I needed to find my own thing because I was always my own boss. I was always my own music maker. So I was never going to be his rapper, especially because I didn't really like to rap. So I'm being called a rapper at different thing, and I never wanted to put the vocal down in the first place.
It's a good rap, mate.
I don't know. I now, of course, because I've looked after so many artists since managing-wise, and I've looked after UK rappers, they always laugh because I rapped in an American accent. But I'd say to them, if you rapped in an English accent back then, you sounded strange. Yeah, it was the only reference we had was American rap. There was no real English rap.
Yeah, especially on dance music. Yeah, like with Demon Boys and
you had some. Exactly. Those are real rappers,
real UK London twang to it. The 4-tracker on Tam-Tam, was that the first Project One?
That was the first Project One,
and there was an answer to Lamborghini.
Yes.
Ferrari.
Yes.
Was that 12 you and Casper, or you on your own?
That's just me. Yeah.
You on your own, because that is that's got such a dub vibe to it.
So that's when I felt we would go, that was me taking that 4 for Money remix and saying, I need to put a stamp on this and make it something that is mine. Total Confusion, I love it and I put everything into it, but I knew, my family weren't going to listen to Total Confusion. My cousin who loved me and supported me, he'd listen to everything I made. He actually became my drive. He'd drive me up and down the country doing shows. But I knew it wouldn't touch him the way 4 for Money would touch him, the way Roughneck would touch him, the way A Moment in Time. You know what I mean? These songs, that dub energies, when he heard that, he was like, yes, now you're... So I knew I had to keep that duality, my British side, and then my West Indian side, do you know what I mean? And that's what that was. And so, like you say, Ferrari, for a few dollars more, that was more 4 for Money. I'm kind of taking the mick out of the remix for a few dollars more and stuff like that. So, yeah. What
I love is that you do Sharp and Dance and Ragga Twins have Lamborghini. Yeah. You then do Ferrari, and then about 6 months later, you're performing on Dance Energy with Sharp and Dance and Ragga Twins.
Exactly.
When you like, what was that like going on? All of you on Dance Energy.
It's weird because I've seen them at a couple of places because I've disappeared off the scene for a while, and I'm only just kind of resurfacing, as you know, and I saw one of them the other day at your wicked gig,
Can I just say, like, it's not like when people say they've been away from the scene and then they haven't been doing anything in music for 30 years. What this man has done in music is inspiring and incredible. I just wanted to get that in because I know what you've done. But yeah, sorry.
But yeah, no, touring, me seeing Sharp and Dance especially, because it just brought loads of memories back, because we toured the country with them.
Right.
They'd be at every club that we turned up at. We never toured with them, but, that circuit, it was so rich back then. There were shows everywhere. You get Tottenham High Road, 9 clubs there. You go up to Dalston, there's 20 clubs. Clubs everywhere. There's the club, up and down the country, hundreds of clubs. And they were on the circuit hammering at Ragga Twins, and we loved them. And it was just always good to see them. We never really spoke. They always did that thing and we did ours, but I always had mad respect for them, always. And Shut Up and Dance, always had mad respect for them.
Yeah, one of my dreams is to make a tune with you and Ragga Twins. And
I would love that.
And I asked Flinty, and he said, "Yeah,
I'd love to do it.
He's in." So I think we'll make that happen. Like Dance Energy was like the really cool version of Top of the Pops for our generation.
Yeah.
That must have been a buzz.
I mean, it looking back at it, it's a buzz. At the time, I was a deer in headlights. I was completely out of my depth. I'd never done anything like that before, never performed before, really. And we did that very early. It wasn't like I'd done a tour of clubs, so came back seasoned and then hit the stage. It was like, no, get up there and perform.
Yeah.
So I didn't know where to look, what to do, but I had dancers behind me, so I knew I was safe. My boys, Cabby, and the boys, I know Cabby to this day. He's an amazing guy. And yeah, he held me down and always looked after me while I was on stage.
You just look so natural on that Dance Energy video. Like I could, when we revisited it a few months ago and I did the video on my pages, no one would ever think that you are an unseasoned performer.
Listen, underneath,
it's natural, mate.
I was crying underneath, honestly. And I used terrible. I used to have mad anxiety after I'd come off stage and everyone would come and say thanks or congratulations, and I would just sit with a towel over my head and almost cry.
Wow.
They'd have to come up and say, "Mark, it was all right. It was okay." I'm like, "No, it was terrible. It was all right." I used to always try to look for the person who wasn't enjoying themselves and focus on them.
That is fascinating, because even just now when we was over in the cafe, me, you, Frost, Zoe, and I'm all proud showing them your performance.
Yeah.
You're at the dinner table like,
no, I know, to this day.
And I'm just, and I'm saying to the others, he didn't miss a word. Yeah. He didn't miss a beat. And it's like,
like this podcast, I'll find it hard to watch.
Yeah.
I just don't, it's one of those things. I don't think I've never really gotten over it. But yeah, back then it was terrible because I'd need half hour after the set to kind of decompress and get myself back to normal.
That's mad, because it's such an iconic performance of the moment. Just the fashion, the performance, the energy from the crowd, and you see yourself at my 35th, like the love that people had for you. It's like literally for our age group and our generation, everyone loves Total Confusion.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It really is a classic of the time. How did you end up leaving Tam-Tam? So basically, you left Tam-Tam.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's you and Casper separately.
Me
you'd separated.
Well, me and Casper had already split.
Yeah.
So I stayed at Tam-Tam and put out Freedom. And then Casper had gone over to the studio where we did Total Confusion. That when we remade Total Confusion, we had to make it a second time because the first one we did, Ian Levine tried to put a stop on it, so we had to reproduce it.
Right.
So we reproduced the tune again at F2 Studios in Mount Pleasant. And so Casper ended up making friends with Rob, who ran the studio, and then they set up Rising High there. So I always go back down to the studio anyway to do stuff. And we just hit it back off after a little while. And it was just like, it felt like, I don't know how to say it. Basically, because it was like the studio, we kind of lived in the studio. It was like really kind of just ours. Rob had given up renting it out.
Right. And
Casper kind of started using it to do his label thing, and I'd use it to do my thing. And every now and then I'd come in and he'd use the sounds that I would make on the keyboards to make his songs. So no one knows this, but Rainbows in the Sky, that's my sound.
Right.
That sound that he's made.
Yeah.
I made a tune called Voices of Paranoia, and I used the Oscar keyboard and I made the sound. I was like, this is going to be so crazy. And then I come back 2 days later and Casper's made Rainbows in the Sky with Pete Smith, and they've used the sound of the keyboard. That's gone crazy. But it was it was that's how. And so then he ended up saying, "What do you want to put any of your tunes out?"
What was your first one on Rising Eye? I Love to Smoke
Marijuana. Yeah, the Chiba EP. Yeah.
Such a unique track. It's like a very, like, because previously people had used like just little snippets of like Sound Clash tapes or old reggae tapes, just like a little sample. And that was like a very early one in using an overall
whole loop.
hook.
A hook. Yeah. So my cousin Michael, the same guy, he was like a real reggae man, and he just said to me, he used to call me TMT, too much talent.
Right.
That's what he called me in Labyrinth, actually. He said TMT. He's passed away now. God bless his soul. But he was like my engine. He just supported everything I did. Same with my brother, who used to play football for Watford, Gifton Marc Williams. He was just the mentor for the whole family, and we all looked up to him. And all the Project One stuff stems around him. It was his records that I went rooting through to find these tunes. So he'd sit there always playing his 7-inches, and that's where I found I Love to Smoke Marijuana.
Right.
That's where all the shit, man, we robbed the streets at night. All of this stuff came from my learning from him. He was the stem to that. And even Roughneck, the girl Nisha, the voice, Roughneck, that was his neighbour.
Coming on strong.
Yeah, she came, she was a girl who was visiting from Jamaica. And he was like, yo, you got to meet Nisha next door. She's a real cool girl. So I came and I saw this little girl. She said, hello, Marcus. No. And I'm like, nah, I got to get you in the studio. So we took her to the studio and I just started shouting phrases at her and she'd say them.
When you say Labyrinth, for our viewers.
Yeah. Labyrinth as in, I met Labyrinth when he was...
Because a lot of my viewers might think it's the club Labyrinth.
No,
you're talking about the huge
the artist Labyrinth. Yeah, I think he's just done the John Lewis ad.
Ah,
that's how big he is now.
Right.
Labyrinth, we did Earthquake, Pass Out. We did Beneath Your Beautiful and Let the Sun Shine. We worked with everyone. He's a literal genius. So, I found him when he found me, or his mother found me when he was 15. And then we worked together for 12 years. So we split when he was 27. So by then we'd already
had all the hits,
crushed it. Yeah. So then he went off to America and did the soundtrack for Euphoria. I think he got an Emmy for that, and he's working in Hollywood, doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah, he's an absolute genius, and it was a privilege to work with him as well.
Proof that when this man said that he hasn't been in the scene, he meant the early rave scene, the music scene. So that John Lewis advert is the one with Where Love Lives, isn't it? That
yes,
drop,
and that's his voice comes in next.
Right.
And he's kind of orchestrated that and everything.
Wow, because that dropped, the day that we're recording this podcast, that dropped today.
Yes.
And the amount of old ravers who have been tagging me in that, going, have you seen this? This is well emotional.
It's a small I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, because it's really hit home with people our age, and it is mad to think that, like, you're a pioneer of that era. You've just mentioned Labyrinth, and then you say, Labyrinth's done a piece in that new John Lewis advert. And I think sometimes, I've often thought about this, my youthful head thought it was this massive, massive world. Like, so when I think of like Dungeons, Camden Palace, Labyrinth, Four Aces, Shut Up and Dance, DJ Hype, Project One, A Homeboy, Hippie A Funki Dredd, Tam-Tam, Reinforced, all of these labels, Shut Up and Dance,
Shadows.
Kicking. Then it all felt so, like, it's so big. But now as we talk, when you think of like 6 months previous, you're doing an answer to Lamborghini, Ferrari. 6 months later, you're on Dance Energy. You know what I mean?
6 degrees of separation, like, man. You're always a few people away from someone.
And that, as I've got older and the more I do these podcasts, the more I realise, especially you think you're out of North London, my backbone is out of North London.
Crazy.
Shut Up and Dance and Ragga Twins are
North London,
well, East, just but Hackney, Stoke Newton Way, so literally round the corner. And it's like, to someone fascinated with our world for the first time or connecting it differently. It does seem so big, but it wasn't actually.
No, exactly.
Because we can literally pinpoint these things to A Moment in Time, to Lamborghini, to Silver Bullet, to
exactly.
Renegade Soundwave. It's not many tracks.
You could map it. It's not that many. Yeah.
The Jungle Techno.
Yeah. I think that was the first time anyone had put that on a track. Yeah.
I've been thinking really, really a lot about this. And I think that track there, I think that it's the first time the saying, it was being used. People were saying it on the mic, and it was being used as
that was
a
reference.
The phrase.
Yeah.
But I think that's the first track that used it in a way.
Yeah.
Well,
and I actually, because I recorded all of that stuff for Roughneck.
Right.
So that was just the offcuts of Roughneck. So it would have come out earlier if I'd have put it on Roughneck. But because I'd used Coming On Strong, Let's Go, all that stuff on Roughneck, and I went through and I found Jungle Techno that we said that. So let me put that on the next tune. Yeah. So it would have been I would have had it on even earlier. So I know what I brought at that moment. I know what we brought to the table, and until you took those four kicks out, it was jungle techno. Yeah. As soon as you took those 4 kicks out, it's jungle, and that's why I think people are correct when they say, Lenny. This is a real kind of, because there's no 4. Once you take that out, you're naked. Do you know what I mean? And you really got to depend on it being pure jungle now. There's no house to underpin it. There's no techno. There's nothing to save you. And I think that was the beginning. Really.
There's a sample there. There's nothing to save.
Nothing to save you.
You should sample yourself. Yeah, it was just such a creative time. Yeah. And I really. I think about it. I can't help but think about it a lot because I play the music still a lot.
Because you're there, isn't it?
I'm devoted to that thing, and the more you go back to it and you study the bass on the Moment in Time remix, you study you sampling I Like to Smoke Marijuana, the use of the word jungle techno, the Johnny Osborne, let me say, all of that stuff. They are such early elements that created what was known would become as jungle. And there really is only a few of you, and we've mentioned them, Shut Up and Dance, Reinforced, You, Project One, Ragga Twins, Hype, Scientist. We have to always big up Renegade Soundwave because they come 100%. Slightly before.
Yeah, slightly before, but that's the setup. Because people would say that about Fall for Money. When people cut that out, I'm like, no, you got to put that in. Yeah. So same with Renegade. I think you got to put it in. It's just there. It's part of the lineage. Just part of that, the line that leads us to where we are now with drill. With all of the stuff that we're doing now, that stems right back to there. That's the beginning.
It truly is. Even the fast-paced rapping of Silver Bullet. Yeah. It's it really is the backbone of so much British
grime, drill. All of it stems from all that bass music comes from that moment. Yeah, those moments there. Those few years are the seed of everything that came after it. All the permutations that we've had since started from us with 15-second sampling time.
My favourite Project One is the one that I've shared on my page a lot. That it's got kind of like a Detroit techno edge, but then it's got like a ravey dub edge. Then it's got a 4/4 to it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I sampled a few things in that as well. I know I sampled that piano that comes in. That's a sample. And the boys who I sampled have called me.
Nexus 21.
They called me and said thanks.
Really?
They actually said it'd be approved. I thought they were going to give me a bollocking, but they called me and said, well done.
How was the name of it? I've remembered the name of everyone.
Chalice? Which one are you talking? Oh, the Nexus tune. I can't remember.
How are we forgetting the name of your record?
I can't remember it.
Oh, mate. And it's got the wicked bass riff. People are going to be at home throwing their toys at the TV. Dan, how can you forget? Oh, mate. Mark. Yeah, yes.
Smoke, isn't it Chalice? It's called Chalice, isn't it?
Yes,
Smoking
Chalice. Yes,
Smoking
yes.
Chalice.
That was such a huge,
That was a
huge.
My favourite
tune.
was Heartbreak.
I can't take that.
Yeah,
the bass in
that for me at the time, the bass was that bass was crazy.
Huge tune.
That was
for
real
me at
aggressive
Desire
bass.
Tasco Warehouse. That was hefty weight.
But the bass line on the sample, boom boom. Boo doo boo doom doom on Chalice is that's class. That is
class.
A real reggae.
Have you still got the dat of that?
I mean, doubtful. Right. I lost a suit. I lost a briefcase with. I mean, I almost. And it was about 5 years ago when I moved into my new studio. Somehow I lost a briefcase that was full of dats. It had about 50 dats in it, and that was my whole history gone. Yeah. I've got floppy disks, but I haven't got dats. Yeah.
Right, because I often hear it and I think, I'd love to hear that remastered.
Remastered, yeah. Ooh, okay.
Maybe re-record.
I could get it done.
From the.
That could be done. Yeah, I'll get it because I've got the digital copy, so I can just redo it from there.
So 92 with those tunes that are like so proto jungle, like they're giving you all the
elements. Yeah, shuffle, break beats, bass lines.
They're giving you all of the elements of jungle music.
Yep.
Why didn't you go that way as such in a big way?
Well, there was a divide that happened with me because jungle turned into drum and bass, of course.
Yeah,
that's when I got dropped off. I was signing a record deal with Seymour Stein, Sire Records, and it took about a year and a half for me to get my money to complete the deal. And for some reason, silly, I waited. Instead of just putting music out, I waited because I wanted to get my studio. So it was about a year, not a year and a half, just an exaggeration, about a year. And in that time, jungle had moved so quickly. I forgot how quick it was going through the gears. So I was doing all kinds of stuff.
93, 94.
Yeah, and I just remember just feeling like there was a feeling inside like they've gone without me. And I tried to catch up because it had gone more drum and bass. So I'd done I Love to Smoke Marijuana, I think 96 version and stuff. I think it was 96, something like that. And I just felt like it had gone away from me. And I'm a music man.
Yeah.
So I love music. So I like house music. I started a label, Thumping Vinyl.
I remember Thumping Vinyl, like tougher house stuff.
Yeah, so I was just back. So we did Spread Love and I Feel High. And then so basically this label, I had about 10 different artist names, but I was all of the names. So I would just pretend that I was doing all these different things. All the tunes sound the same. But I know this one's slightly different hi-hat. So I did that for a few years with a couple of guys. And I was still doing a little bit of drum and bass and stuff. But yeah, I did feel there was a moment where it moved on. It was kind of like the Goldie era. When Goldie came, because I was managed by the same manager as Goldie. I was managed by Trenton Harris.
Right.
And then he took on Goldie after. And then Goldie had kind of sawn, and Trenton got really busy with him. So there was this general. I was a moody little kid, man. I was a moody boy, and I just kind of put my toys in the and just I'll go and make this stuff over here. So I made that. I did Big B. I had a group called the Three Amigos.
Yeah,
we did Louie.
You had a big tune, didn't you?
We had that Louie at the top of the pops of that. Louie and 25 Miles, and then I had a rock band for a while called Bushnut. We did a load of shows with a rock band, metal. And that's when I found Labyrinth, and that took me through to 2015. And then since then, I've just been of course, managing I've managed a few people. Ash Nico, she's huge. Avelino, amazing rapper, the best rapper in the UK, bar none. Etta Bond, the original soul queen of the UK kind of modern era. I've been really lucky to work with the greatest talents.
Because when I go into your studio, and I often pop in and do his head in, don't I?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, listen to him. And mate, the discs on your wall for the stuff that you've done.
I've been lucky.
You haven't been lucky.
I've been lucky, mate. No. I know. I've been lucky. Listen, it's
you make your own luck.
Okay. Cliff Richard said, there's no such thing as luck. When the opportunity comes, you got to be ready to roll.
Yeah.
And when Casper Pound knocked on my door in 1990 or 1987, 88. No, it's 89. When he knocked on my door in 89, I'm getting old, I was ready.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was lying on the floor. He said, "You ready to work?" I got up and got to work. And that's how I've always been. When I found Labyrinth, or when Labyrinth's mum found me, she said, my son, you should meet my son. And I just said, cool. And I just let him use my studio. He didn't get a deal for 4 years. He just sat in my studio making music. And I just kind of nurtured and kind of like listened to this. The beauty with him was, he'd never really listened to pop music or dance music or anything. He knew a little bit, but he was mostly listening to church music. So this was,
wow. I
was like, wow, David Bowie, Elton John, Nat King Cole, James Brown, Bill Withers. Like, he was a sponge, and it was all so new to him. I'm like, mate, I get to infuse you with all this music that I know about and that I love, and I just hit him with it hard. And then he knew about my history with jungle as well. And because he was young when jungle was kind of, his older brothers were playing it, that's why we ended up doing the jungle piece at the end of Pass Out, because of my influences in the past.
That's fascinating.
He just said, get on there and do it. So I did the drum and bass bit at the end.
Yeah, because like whenever I come down to your studio, you only have to hear a tune on the phone, and like your entire life, your studio, your office, your being revolves around music. So yeah, I just think music and soul is running through you. Yeah,
I'll tell anyone, like, I'm unemployable. AI is coming. The AI needs to make way for me, because this is all I do.
Yeah.
This is all I've done since school. I wrote my first songs in secondary school, in the back of the class for the girls. Lovers Rock songs I used to write for the girls in class. And I've always known that music was the thing that I was going to do. So, yeah, I'm just happy to be able to do it.
Yeah, it is, mate. Like, I love your energy. When I come down to the studio, I know, like, I can play you something and that's it.
Yeah.
You're
if it's there, the jazz face is coming out, man, 100%.
And it is a proper jazz face.
Oh, I got the jazz face, man.
And you was buzzing after 3 decades of not performing at my 35th. That was, like, I was so proud of that. Like,
mate.
I'd thought about it during the week, and I said, like, we're making it the first track of the set, and like Nicky Black Market and Flinty Ragga Twins was on before, and they were playing like fast jungle drum and bass.
Yeah, that's right. I was a bit worried.
I was like, no, don't worry.
I was a little bit worried, but you know what? Let me just say this. I got to say, I was, because it's been a while, and I was quite worried that they're going to drop the tempo down 30 BPM, and I'm going to come on and just
40,
with this hard house stuff. And I have to say, the way you did the transition was incredible, and your experience and everything just came shining through. And I knew I was in good hands, because you got them eating out of you know exactly what to say, your timing, the expression, the way you're kind of engaging with them. I was like, this guy's a consummate professional. I was looking at Alex. Alex is like, yeah, he's good. He's really good. And I knew you were good, but I didn't know that. Yeah, brilliant.
Just to sort of play it down a little bit, it was me 35th, so I'd have looked a bit silly if I didn't like pull it out of the bag. But yeah, when you, because I think Total Confusion's 128 or
120.
What?
It's 120.
Yeah, because you went to me, put it on at 130.
Yeah, I said, I'll speed up.
Don't worry. And like,
it's 120. Bum, 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 bum. It's like raw slow,
and sort of like it got really emotional. It was good because Rachel Wallace.
Oh, that was good as well.
Yeah, so Rachel hasn't performed with me since before COVID.
Wow.
And we used to perform a lot together. And we've been trying to make it happen, and she'll be abroad or she'll be doing something. And I think I said on the mic, I'd kind of given up trying to say to her, come on, Rach, for old times, come out. And I phoned her and she said, I'd have been offended if you didn't ask me.
Oh, wow.
So it worked out so good, because then like you all just you all just got like the vibe.
Yeah,
and
man.
you
Yeah,
carried
just hung on. Yeah,
hosting.
exactly. Yeah.
Danny, who performs with me all the time, he knows my settings.
He's great.
Yeah,
I didn't realise that he was good.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was picking up lessons from him because I hadn't done it for a while. I learned quick.
Yeah.
So it won't take me too long. If I go and play somewhere, I'll get it wrong the first time. But I learned that it takes 2-3 times and I've got them eating out my hand every single time. I've never really been bad at doing that. But watching him, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Picking up little tips straight away because he's pro.
Yeah,
He's real pro.
he does my sets a lot. Like, and then Rachel was obviously singing throughout.
Pro as well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like I couldn't have asked for any better because in my first ever sets, Total Confusion used to be like my last tune at the Four Aces for quite some time, and it just all worked really well.
Yeah,
and then on the way home, you left me a message, and I was like, "That's it. That tops off."
Mate,
like,
I was blown away. But I'm up for doing it again. So if anyone out there wants to see Total Confusion, I'm here for hire.
It was an absolute buzz. So we're going to be making some music, aren't we? Some
100%
Project Ones.
Oh, mate, definitely.
And Ragga Twins are up for it.
Oh, mate, 100%. Let's get it in.
I think that would be. Can you imagine, like
legendary.
Flinty Demon?
Oh,
you, like the vibes that can be created.
So good.
Was you surprised to see like an audience of our age still loving those original tunes?
The most eye-opening thing I've seen for many years is looking at our age group out there. They call them gravers, isn't it?
You call them gravers.
I saw it on a documentary. And they call them gravers. They go out and like older ones that rave, and I'm like, that's amazing, and they do it right.
Yeah,
because I say lucky enough because I hang out with a lot of young rappers and stuff and artists. I go to a lot of their shows. I go and see a lot of younger people's shows, and all you're seeing are phone lights. And everyone's looking at the show through their phone. No one's actually experiencing each other or experiencing the show and taking it in, and they're looking at it on their phone, and that is like there's something in between them and the experience. And when to see that crowd, and I saw maybe 2 or 3 phones out, and everyone's hands is up, they're responding. When you tell them to make noise, they make noise. When you tell them, it's incredible. And you just don't get that out there as much anymore. It's just a flood of white lights.
Yeah.
It looks lovely when you're looking at an arena and they tell them to put the lights out. It's great. But when you're actually trying to party, I think you must have seen the memes where they show Ibiza.
Oh, of course.
15 years ago and Ibiza now.
Yeah.
It's night and day. There's no comparison.
Yeah, that's interesting because like you've seen both sides of it. So you've seen like some really big commercial acts, and like you say, you've watched them in arena shows, phones, but then you've been taken right back to the root inception a few weeks ago at my event. And 50 to 60-year-olds, which is the age group, genuinely don't really have their phones out. I probably have my phone out. Like I say to people, I'm getting older now. I'll do this. I'll capture you, and then you can have it from my page.
Yeah, that's right.
Like because I
love it.
I love capturing those moments, but as a rule, you don't see 1,000 50-year-olds with their phone in there. You'll see 1 or 2, and
that means they're enjoying the moment. They're in the moment.
Yeah,
that's the only reason you don't get your phone out. You see, I as a manager, I've always found it. I always find I miss moments on the phone, and artists get pissed off with me. But that's because I tell them because I'm in the moment with you. Yeah, when we're in there and we're going at it, the last thing I think about is let me step out of this moment so I can film that moment. I've never managed to break that. I've tried so many times. No, Mark, you must be professional. But once I'm in, if I'm in with you and we're locked in and we're doing something, the last thing I'm thinking about is detaching myself from the intensity of that moment and then filming it. I've never understand how people can do it. But I do rate people who can, because those are the ones that always come out with the great footage.
Me all the time. Like, put your hands in the air, bang!
It looks amazing on your phone, but I witnessed it. I felt it. You were filming it. There's a slight difference.
Yeah. I do see all those memes that you're talking about, and they are always in much more commercial with Beath and house events or big stadium events for youngsters. And I guess really where I don't try to be down with the kids, I don't make music for youngsters. I don't go out to play to youngsters. Of course, as you see, youngsters do come to my events.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
But I'm not all of a sudden going to purposely make it new sounding. Here's what I do. Here's what it is. Like, don't like. But as a rule, if you're going to come to somewhere I'm DJing, you're going to be 15, 16. If you're younger, you're
there because, and you're into that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of young kids that are definitely getting into older garage, older house, you know, and maybe not as far back as say 89, 90, but you know that 94 when that kind of garage era. There's a lot of kids out there, like Romford and those areas that are Essex that are really into them sounds.
Yeah, same with a lot of original jungle music from like 93 to 95. There's a big sort of like cult-like younger scene who are really in tune to it and want to know about the record.
I think there's a group called 4am Crew.
4am Crew, very, very, very good friends of mine who we've had at the same venue you performed that. Yeah, they're
if you know them, that's good. You should introduce them.
I'll introduce you.
I really want to meet them.
I love them. I love them to bits. And the mad thing about them is they come up through COVID times.
Okay.
But they're massive fans of the history of the music. One's from Canada. They've lived and breathed this thing. And they started sending me records just as we come out of COVID. They even cut me some dubs.
Okay.
They cut me some one-offs. And I was listening to this music, and in a new sense, it took me right back to 94.
Doesn't it?
I was
They've done such a good job.
Yeah.
Such a good job.
I was listening to this stuff at my age going, I can just imagine playing this the first time around at the Four Aces. Wow, I can imagine walking in Music Power Records and being given this. I can imagine getting this in the post. And a lot of people produce new music that sounds old. Yeah. And they get it right. Yeah. But these people...
this is authentic.
They beyond got it. They got my emotions like I was 17, 18
It sounded like they were doing it on an Akai 950.
Oh, mate.
Do you know what I mean? With a Juno 106.
Unbelievable.
And on an Atari Cubase.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
I had them on the same stage that you performed that a few years ago.
Wow.
And then I think it was last year, we had them at... my event, Unity in the Sun, which is something we do in Corfu. And traditionally, it is just the old school lot who play, the old school jungle DJs, the old school rave, the old school hardcore. But I'd fallen in love with what they do. And even though they were huge to the youngsters and on the festival circuit, to our 50, 60-year-olds, they hadn't heard of them.
No, of course not.
They hadn't heard of them. And I stuck them smack bang peak time on our main night. And everyone's thinking, well, come on, where's the Rat Pack? Where's this one? Where's that one? And I'm like, no, I am adamant that these are, mate, they turned the party upside down.
Joking.
Like upside down. And everyone was, who are they? The following day at lunch, there's like Brian G, there's DJ Ron, there's Spider, there's Jumping Jack Frost, there's everyone around the table, and all everyone's talking about is 4am Crew. 4am Crew come, like they're in awe of Brian G and Frost and all these people, but everyone's just like, come sit with, you know, and that was
how many of them are there?
Two.
Only two?
Two, yeah. They got such emotion and such passion, and do you know why they shine? Because they really feel and respect.
I think you can feel
era.
it. You can feel it. That's the best example I've heard of new school. You know, you can feel that they appreciate it. They're being authentic with it, which is why I'd love to meet them. I'd love to meet them.
Well, Well, they're not far. They're pretty local. So yeah,
well,
they will love to meet you.
It's on.
They would love to meet you, especially with like the Project One stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could do these conversations. You know what? We'll have a conversation once we've made our first EP.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do that. 100%.
We've got to.
Let's get it done.
Brilliant, mate.
Brother,
Mark, thank you, mate.
so much.
I'm glad we've dusted you off on the
Thank
Rave
you. No,
thing.
definitely, man. And yeah, you know, maybe there'll be more stuff happening in 26.
The thing that I love, the thing that I absolutely love, is like most of the people. Of course, you have your real like names who have like Hype's a perfect example. Ragga Twins from that era that you come up in. But a lot of people who like made tunes, they really did leave music, and that natural talent that they had wasn't harnessed. But it's such a great story that you had this pivotal moment of our time in rave, but you've gone off and created pivotal moments in pop culture and all breakbeat culture and other musics, and that's great to hear because that doesn't always happen. No,
well, like I say, I'm privileged, lucky that I can do this, and I pay the bills. I every morning I wake up, I pinch myself that I managed to pay my bills with melodies. That how little molecules in the air, how put into lovely patterns into people's ears, and I get to pay my mortgage and my daughter's school fees with melodies. Mate. That is incredible. So yeah, thank you. Pay the bills with melodies. That is it on that note. Love that. Thank you, Mark. Cheers, buddy.